History, Unit 1, Sources of Medieval India, Part 2.
Hello children, welcome to the online classes. Today we shall see the second and the concluding part of the lesson, the sources of medieval India. Now let's have a quick recap. In the previous class we studied about the three different periods of Indian history and the two sources of information about the medieval period. In particular, in the first source of information, that is the primary source, we studied about various inscriptions, stones, and temple walls, copper plate grounds, and various monuments like temples, mosques, forts, and palaces, and the different types of coins.
Ready.
Medieval period is an important era in Indian history for the development in the field of art, languages, culture and religion. History of medieval India can be divided into 7 major sections with the history of the Rajputs, the Cholas and Pandyas, the Bahmani rulers, the Vijayanagara rulers, Delhi Sultans, Mughals and the Marathas. We would study about the above mentioned rulers in the forthcoming chapters. The number and variety of literary or textual records increased during this period. Literates and the chroniclers. The chroniclers are the persons who write accounts of the historical events, wrote the chronicles of rulers and in petitions, judicial records, accounts and the taxes. The teachings of saints and traders' transactions were also recorded on papers. Manuscripts were collected by rich people, rulers, monasteries and temples and are stored in archives. Many small kingdoms emerged during the medieval period. They fought against each other to expand their territory. These were the major developments in religious traditions in medieval India, like the emergence of an idea called Bhakti. Bhakti movement emerged. A new religion called Islam appeared in India because of the Muslim rulers. Sufi tradition came to India from West Asia. Now, let's see about the secondary sources from which we can know about the medieval period and its rulers. Let's move on to the lesson.
The sources. Classification of sources. Sources are divided into two types. First is primary source and second is secondary source. Secondary sources. Sources created by someone who did not experience first-hand or participate in the events but interprets or analyzes an event or phenomenon are called as secondary sources. Example, literary works, chronicles, travelogues, biographies and autobiographies.
The chief secondary sources during the medieval Indian history are literary accounts, historical accounts by scholars written on paper and historical accounts by foreign travelers. The literary accounts. The literary sources have been divided into regional literature and secular literature. The devotional movement in South India and later in the North India resulted in the development of Bhakti or devotional literature. Bhakti movement. The Bhakti movement or the resurgence of devotional practices started in Tamil Nadu around 7th century AD. It included reciting the name of God or goddess, singing hymns in their praise, wearing religious marks or carrying identity emblems and undertaking pilgrimages to sacred places associated with the deity. It emphasized the mutual and emotional attachment and the love of a devotee towards a personal God and God for the devotee. The devotional movement in South India resulted in the development of Bhakti or devotional literature. The Bhakti movement started in the south in response to the conquest of northern India by Muslim rulers. From 8th century AD to 15th century AD, this movement gathered its momentum in the south. Now we shall see the pioneers, the first people of the Bhakti movement. In South India, during the 7th to 9th centuries, saw the emergence of new religious movements. It was led by the Nayanmars. Those are 63 saints who are devoted to Lord Shiva, and Alvars, the 12 saints devoted to Lord Vishnu. Nayanmars. The Nayanmars were a group of 63 saints living in Tamil Nadu during the 6th and 8th centuries who were devoted to Lord Shiva. Along with the Alvars, they influenced the Bhakti movement in medieval South India. The most prominent among the 63 Nayanmars were Appar, Sambandar and Sundarar. See, this slide shows the 12 Alvars devoted to Lord Vishnu. Poigai Alvar, Bhudat Alvar, Pei Alvar, Tirumalisai Alvar, Namma Alvar, Madurakavi Alvar, Kulasekara Alvar, Peri Alvar, Andal, Tondaradipudi Alvar, Tiruppan Alvar and Tirumangai Alvar. The literature development under the Cholas. The development of literature, art and architecture of the Chola period promoted the cultural value of the Chola rule. The Cholas made lot of improvements in these fields. The temples built by the Cholas increased the value of the Bhakti culture of the Tamil country. The development of the Chola literature, art and architecture created a profound impact on the cultural development of the Tamil country. Kambar. Kambar wrote Kamba Ramayana. King Kulothunga Chola III donated Kambanadu to Kambar. The king also conferred the title Kavi Chakravarti on Kambar. Ramavadaram is a greatest epic in Tamil literature. Although Kambar states that he followed Valmiki in his work, it is not a mere translation or adaptation. He imports into his narration the color and landscape of his own time. His description of Kosala, the birthplace of Rama, is an idealized account of the features of the Chola country. Religious literature during Chola period. The Chola period was known as the period of devotional literature. During the imperial Chola period, the Prabandha became the dominant form of poetry. The religious canons of Saiva and Vaishnava sects were beginning to be systematically collected and categorized. The Cholas built numerous temples mainly for their favorite god Shiva, and these were celebrated in numerous hymns. Devaram. Devaram means garland of poems to the Lord. Devaram denotes the first 7 volumes of the Tirumurai. These volumes contain the works of three most prominent Tamil poets of the 7th and 8th centuries. Devaram was composed by Appar, Sambandar and Sundarar and compiled by Nambiyandar Nambi. Nambiyandar Nambi, who was a contemporary who lived during the same period of Rajaraja Chola I, collected and arranged the books on Saivism into 11 books called Tirumurai. Tirunarayur Nambiyandar Nambi was a 11th century Shaiva scholar of Tamil Nadu in South India, and he himself was one of the author of the 11th volume of the canon of Tamil poetry on Lord Shiva, the Tirumurai. Tiruvasagam. Manikya was a 9th century Tamil poet. He composed Tiruvasagam, a volume of Tamil hymns which contains 51 compositions and constitutes the 8th volume of Tirumurai. As the legend goes, Tiruvasagam is the only work which is signed by Lord Shiva. Sekizhar, who lived during the reign of Kulothunga Chola III, wrote Periya Puranam. Sekizhar compiled and wrote Periya Puranam in 4253 verses, recounting the life stories of 63 Nayanmars. He was also one among the Nayanmar. Periya Puranam is also called as Tirutondar Puranam. The Divya Prabandham sings the praise of Lord Vishnu and his many forms. The Alvars sang these songs at various sacred shrines known as Divya Desams. See, this is Nadamuni. Nadamuni was a Vaishnava theologian born in Veeranarayanapuram in Tamil Nadu, who collected and compiled the Nalayira Divya Prabandham. The collection, once thought to have been lost, was organized in the form of anthology by him. Religious books on the Vaishnava sect was mostly composed in Sanskrit during this period. The great Vaishnava leader Ramanuja lived during this period. The literature of the Chola period was partly secular and largely religious. The age of the devotional poems had come to an end with the last of the Alvars for Vaishnavite Bhaktism and with Manikya Vasagar for Saivite religion.
Now, let's see Bhakti movement in North India.
Gita Govindam. Jayadeva's Gita Govindam was written in 12th century, was a follow-up of the Bhakti movement in South India. Jayadeva was a Sanskrit poet known for his epic poem Gita Govinda. It describes the relationship between Krishna and Radha. It is considered an important text in the Bhakti movement of Hinduism. Secular literature. The literature which comprises of worldly things and not pertaining to religious rituals or beliefs. That is, any story which has no significant basis in any religion can be called as secular literature. This literature is rather more rational and scientific in approach. Madura Vijayam. The invasion and conquest of the Madurai Sultanate by the Vijayanagara Empire is described in detail in this poem, and it was composed by Ganga Devi. Ganga Devi was the wife of Kumara Kampanna, the prince of Vijayanagara Empire who led the successful invasion. His exploits form the subject of this poem. Amukta Malyada was a book written by King Krishnadevaraya in 1509 CE. It is an epic poem in Telugu. Krishnadevaraya was considered the greatest ruler of the Vijayanagar Empire. He possessed the largest empire in India after the decline of Delhi Sultanate. Amukta Malyada is considered a masterpiece in Telugu literature. It relates to the story of the daughter of Periyalvar, Goda Devi, Andal, who used to wear the garlands intended for Lord Ranganatha before they were offered to the deity, and hence the name Amukta Malyada, who wears and gives away garlands. Chand Bardai's Prithviraj Raso portrays the Rajput king's valor. Chand Bardai was an Indian poet who composed Prithviraj Raso, an epic poem in the language Braj Bhasha about the life of the Rajput king Prithviraj Chauhan. The poem represents him as a court poet of Prithviraj. Prithviraj Raso is an epic poem which talks about King Prithviraj Chauhan, his personal life, valor, bravery, and his military successes. We have no Indian accounts about what happened during the Turkish invasion of India. For pre-Islamic periods, the only exception was Kalhana's Raja Tarangini. Kalhana, a Kashmiri, was an author of Raja Tarangini, the River of Kings. It is an account of the history of Kashmir. He wrote the work in Sanskrit between 1148 and 1149.
Do you know? We shall see some words in Arabic and the meaning in English. First word is tabakat. Tabakat is an Arabic word meaning generations or centuries. Next is tuzuk. Tuzuk is a Persian word meaning autobiography. Third is Tariq or Takik. Arab words meaning history.
Biographies and autobiographies. Books. The cultural contact produced a huge amount of historical texts, that is, the books which comprise the important source of medieval India. During this period, when printing machine was not introduced, people began to prepare records as manuscripts, that is, writing. Biography. What is a biography? The Muslim rulers employed chroniclers or diaries and court historians who maintained records of their activities. It is recorded in a systematic and chronological, that is, date-wise order. This is biography. Autobiography. The educated among the rulers, the kings who are educated and the nobles, kept both memoirs and maintained personal diaries. These are autobiography when they are writing on their own. Now let's see some of them. Tabaqat-i-Nasri. Minhaj us Siraj, patronized by Sultan Naseeruddin Muhammad of Slave dynasty, wrote Tabaqat-i-Nasri. This compendium deals with the period from the conquest of Muhammad Ghori to AD 1260. The compendium was named after his patron. The Babarnama is the memoir of Zahiruddin Muhammad Babar, the founder of the Mughal Empire. It was written in Chagatai language. His vivid account of events covers not only his own life but the history and geography of the areas he lived in, as well as the people with whom he came into contact. Jahangir in 17th century wrote his memoir Tuzuk-i-Jahangiri. It is the autobiography of the Mughal Emperor Nur-ud-Din Muhammad Jahangir. Besides the history of the reign, he includes the details like reflections on art, politics, and also adds information about his own family. Abul Fasl was the Grand Vizier and one of the Navaratnas of the royal court of Mughal Emperor Akbar. Ain-i-Akbari or The Administration of Akbar is a book written in 16th century, which is a detailed document recording the administration of Emperor Akbar in Persian language. Tabakat-i-Akbari. It is considered reliable than the exaggerated account of Abul Fazl. He was a Muslim historian of late medieval India. Tabakat-i-Akbari is a comprehensive work on general history covering the time from the Ghaznavids up to the 38th year of Akbar's reign. Tariq-i-Badawni, which means Badawni's history. Tariq-i-Badawni was published in the year 1595. This work spans 3 volumes. The volume on Akbar's reign is a frank and critical account of Akbar's administration, particularly of his religious policy. Travelers and travelogues. Who is a traveler? A traveler is a person who is making a journey or a person who visits places. So, during the medieval period, many European and Afghan travelers and traders came to India and made an account of their visit. Now, what is meant by travelogue? Yes, travelogue is a book or illustrated account of the places visited and encountered by a traveler. Actually, the account of foreign travelers is important because it helps us to know what others think of our country, and also it helps to know how our people lived during those days. Now, shall we see some foreign travelers who visited India during medieval period and their travelogues? Marco Polo, an Italian merchant, explorer and writer who travelled through Asia along the Silk Route between 1271 and 1295. His travels are recorded in the book The Travels of Marco Polo. Marco Polo, a Venetian traveller, visited India when the Pandya kingdom was becoming the leading Tamil power in the 13th century. Marco Polo was twice in Kayal, which was a port city, presently the Thoothukudi district of Tamil Nadu. It was full of ships from Arabia and China. Marco Polo tells us that he himself came by a ship from China. According to Marco Polo, thousands of horses were imported into southern India by sea from Arabia and Persia. Al-Biruni. Al-Biruni was an Iranian scholar and was well versed in maths, science and astronomy. He also distinguished himself as a historian, chronologist and linguist. Al-Biruni accompanied Muhammad of Ghazni in one of his campaigns and stayed in India for 10 years. The most accurate account of Muhammad's Somnath expedition is that of Al-Biruni. As a learned man and a scholar, he travelled all over India trying to understand India and her people. He learnt Sanskrit and studied the philosophy of India. Taqiq-i-Hind. In this book, Al-Biruni discussed the Indian conditions, systems of knowledge, social norms and religion.
This is the image of Ibn Battuta. In 14th century, an Arab-born Morocco scholar traveled from Morocco right across North Africa to Egypt and then to Central Asia and India. According to him, Egypt was rich then because of the whole of the Indian trade with the West passed through it. Ibn Battuta also tells us of caste system in India and the practice of sati. We learn from him that Indian merchants were carrying on a brisk trade in foreign ports and Indian ships in the seas. He describes the city of Delhi as a vast and magnificent city. Those were the days when Sultan Muhammad bin Tughlaq transferred his capital from Delhi to Devagiri or Daulatabad in the south, converting this city into a desert.
Ibn Battuta's travelogue, Rila, means the travels, contains rich details about the people and the countries he visited. We shall see some of the travelers who traveled to South India, Vijayanagar Empire. In the south, Vijayanagar Empire had many foreign visitors who left behind their detailed account of the state. Niccolo Ponti. He was an Italian merchant, the explorer and writer. Over a period of 25 years, he traveled as a merchant to numerous places in Asia. He visited the Vijayanagar Empire in 1420. Razak. He was a Persian ambassador. The narrative of his visit to India includes describing the life and events in Calicut under the Zamorin and also the ancient city of Vijayanagara at Hampi, describing their wealth and immense grandeur. Domingo Pace. He was a Portuguese traveler who visited the Vijayanagara Empire located in southern India around 1520. His visit took place during the rule of King Krishnadevaraya and he recorded his impressions on the Vijayanagara state in his chronicle of the Vijayanagara kings. Today, we saw about the secondary sources of medieval India. We discussed about the Bhakti movement in India, the devotional literature, secular literature, regional literature, the various books, biographies and autobiographies that provide information about the political, social and economic conditions of the medieval times are discussed in detail. We also studied about the traveler's account mostly by the visiting Arab and Persian scholars. Shall we summarize now? With this, we complete the lesson, the sources of medieval India. To summarize from this lesson, we learnt about the medieval period and the different primary sources of information like inscription on stones, rocks, temple walls and copper plate grants. Second, monuments like various temples, palaces, forts, mosques, tombs, etc. in both North and South India. Third, coins of Mughal rulers and Delhi sultans. All this we studied during the first class. Today we studied the devotional and secular literature, various books of saints and poets, biographies by the writers and autobiographies of the Mughal rulers, and at last the travelers' accounts during the medieval period. Hope you all understand the lesson, children. Thank you.